More Than Rich podcast. Today, we're thrilled to have Bernard Chong, an esports mogul, innovative entrepreneur whose strategic investments are making waves in Manila to the global stage. Transformed his family's brand, World Balance, into a top player in the industry, propelled Bren Esports to international fame with his hand in everything from real estate to cutting-edge gaming. Endeavors are shaping a future of possibilities for entrepreneurs around the world. So today we're going to talk about passions, innovation, and legacy, uncovering all the secrets behind your success and all your investments here. I understand you have like $1 billion portfolio, so we're going to dive into that. Bernard, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
Of course. And also thank you, Crystal, for helping facilitate and set this up, your assistant. Jumping right into it, just looking back at your start in your family's shoe business, what were some foundational things that you learned and how did you gain your passion?
I learned everything at the beginning at the family business because that's how I started. And I learned the basic of customer service, doing sales, dealing with the product lines and how it's manufactured and being distributed. I learned the total package of having the exposure of a business being run as a young kid.
Did you have to learn multiple languages from the jump, like as soon as you were born?
Well, Philippines is an English speaking country. So we have to learn English at school at elementary. So I think it wasn't multiple language, but yeah, another language which is English.
I just think that that's a huge advantage because Americans don't really, take a lot of pride in learning multiple languages, but I think it's a huge sign of intelligence. But do you have any like pivotal moments in your career you believe were crucial to achieving your level of success?
Well, there are pivotal moments where you go with your gut that you trust a certain business or a certain person, and then you'll be tested if that takes time and that takes more time, and then eventually it it you got the reward out of your patience. So a real story is I have a partner who I invested in, and he said we're gonna return the money in 2 years, and we're doing a platform business. It's like a business process outsourcing, and after 2 years, no money was returned, and the company was still building and struggling, very far from the final goal. And that moment, I was also doing well myself, so I just was patient with my partner, and but being patient with another month, then another month, then another month for the whole 3 years. So that's a whole year of being patient.
I'm sure you've had other investments though. So would you say that that's a commonality in most things, like in terms of maybe the terms never being met right on time? Is that common?
It is common that delays happen, frictions happen, or blindside things happen, especially if you're developing from scratch. So that is common. But again, there are guidelines also that you have to check that you're progressing. You have to be also aligned in communication with your partner too. You cannot be just blindly patient. You
That's
must
interesting.
also, yeah,
No,
you must also be aligned with what both of you are doing and make sure that you're progressing. Even though it's an increment progress, you're still getting things done or improving from yesterday or last month.
see, as somebody who I can relate in the sense of I'm always starting a bunch of projects, right? Like I have a lot of different things I'm working on, and I'm curious how you juggle things because I'm sure it's on a more serious level than just concepts. I have a lot of things I'm just working on or starting. So how do you balance different investments? Because do you find yourself putting all your energy more toward one thing that you're more, passionate about?
Well, to just share it out there, the balance is where you are needed or where your attention is needed. Sometimes you think that it's all balance, but the thing is, you balance it when you see that it's not balanced. When you see something needs your attention, you have to give it your attention. And when you're giving attention to one thing, you're not giving attention to other things. And then when they're being, you know, uh, being left behind, you'll just put your another attention to them to be balanced.
Do you consider yourself an introvert?
No, I am not an introvert. I
Interesting.
like going out. I like talking to people, and I like sharing experience.
Interesting. Well, did you have like favorite subjects in school?
I like math. I like science. I like things that can be proven and can be computed.
I'm
I studied electronics communication engineering. I was the class president during my elementary days, and I believe we have a like an ROTC. That's like a semi-military training, and I'm always the leader in the group.
Did your parents like have any specific things that they instilled in you that kind of shaped and molded you? Like any early childhood experiences?
Well, they let me be. I they shape me. They teach me what they teach me, but it's a combination of everything. A combination of friends, a combination of your parents, from my grandparents too, my uncles teach me too. So I learned a lot of lessons from my good environment. So it's not, I was exposed to an environment where, because my upbringing was, we're a close family type. It means in one building, my grandparents, my parents' brothers, my aunties, my cousins are living in one building. So I
Yeah.
get to learn in every lessons they have, in every life journey they have, in every problem they have. And I get to communicate with them. I get to mingle with them.
So you
So
actually
I was exposed
you
when
were
I was young to a lot of
heeding the
people.
warnings, right? Like taking the
Yeah.
warnings and actually listening.
Yeah. And then
Um,
I can ask a lot of people too about things that I don't know when I was young, because there's a lot of guardians on top of me.
and that still doesn't say that you didn't suffer or like go through anything, right? So was there anything you felt like you're glad you learned that early?
Well, I trusted people too much, and I've given people also too much, and then I will learn, and we all have to learn. And I think this is a universal lesson: is too much is
Mm.
also a problem. Too
I,
much freedom, too much money, or too much trust. Anything that's too much is wrong.
that's a good quote. That's actually, yeah. I like that you said it's a universal lesson because I think that does apply to a lot more than just our basic needs, right? In any aspect. Yeah, I like that. Um,
Yeah.
how do you envision AI transforming the sectors that you're involved in, like currently?
Well, if you think of AI, it's more of the computational power that they can do at once in a given time. And of course, no matter how smart a human being is, and even the team of human being is, machines are always have their advantages and strength, and that's on computational level and repetitive tasks too. So I think AI would help us grow more and grow on stuff that we need to compute, on things that we need to know. So it will improve the civilization and the technology, and hopefully the advancement of our society.
How do you feel about creative people getting their hands on this kind of technology? Like people that haven't, maybe aren't tech savvy.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's always a tool, and we are always improving. So like before, we just have uh, probably iron, and then we made it to a wheel, and then suddenly we made it into a turbine, and then a motor, and then suddenly we put it in a plane, right? So AI would be like, for now we're on the stage one or two, some for now, that they're just computing, but maybe someday they'll be computing and deciding and recomputing again. And then probably there would be functions of systems where we will really rely on them. So they have to be efficient. Hopefully, they just stuck into just computing and leave the creativity to human beings.
Wow.
When when AI becomes creative, I think that's something a possibility of we haven't imagined yet.
Damn. What are your excitements about that aspect? Like, are you I don't know, are you excited about anything AI, like the future of it?
I'm I'm pretty sure as a human being, our task is to live long so we could observe and experience life. And advancement is always exciting when you see stuff being built, when you see stuff you haven't seen before, and now you come to see its fruition. So yeah, I think it's not me all excited. I'm sure you're excited too. And even if you're not excited, it's just because you haven't seen it yet. Or if people are not excited because they haven't imagined it yet, how it's supposed to be. But people with imagination, people with expectation to there's something to hope for in the future, which is something good to hope for.
Let me play devil's advocate and go to the opposite side. Is there any ethical sides, like ethical aspects you're weary of?
If you think about a lot of things, any tool, which is AI, which I said tool, can be used in a good or bad, depend on how they use it. That's why I said when the AI becomes a creative thing, then
Oh no. He'll come back. I'll timestamp it.
I'm on a laptop now, so this will be smooth.
As an avid reader, lifelong learner, are there any books or resources that profoundly impacted you or your business strategies? That's the real worded question.
Well, you learn from other people when you read books. So I guess it impacted me a lot because from other people's mistakes and lessons, you kind of like get to know where what they did right. It's a continuous progress of getting the things right and hopefully not doing the mistakes because life is actually right minus wrong. When you do things wrong, you gotta correct it by writing it, by doing the right thing, and then progressing. So, as much as right things you compound, then that's how you progress. And anytime you do anything wrong, it will take time to correct it. So, yes, I've read a lot of books, all kinds of uh, like philosophy books, business books, management books, how to deal with people books, sales books, and then you compound them, you integrate them, and hopefully you still will have mistakes along the line because somewhere when you progress, there are some things you haven't learned yet, and you need to go through it. To explain it, it's like you're doing well if you're 30 or you're 40, but you haven't been 60 years old. And when you're 60 years old, there's still person who are they just arrive at 60 years old and there's things that are new to them. So business is also like that. While you're growing, there's still progressively in a new state of this is new to us. And then you still learn.
That's a good way to put it too. I like that. Um, in terms of like the financial aspects, a lot of other countries don't really like the way Americans do business. So I'm curious if you think, other countries do business differently or like the nuances that you've noticed in how countries do business.
Actually, they are supposed to be not the same because imagine just comparing, for example, USA, China, third world country. Okay, third world country, they don't have the system in place yet. So the US system is not applicable to third world country system. All right. And let's just say, let's put, for example, China, which has a billion population. You cannot be lax with control if you have a 1 billion population. So again, mirroring it to business, it's like you're having a seed or a startup, and then you have a mid-sized business and like a conglomerate. You have to run them differently. So eventually, that's just how life is. It's always about constant growth, constant change, constant systems in a right way. Not because you have your certain system, it works for me. Because how what's the size of my life or my business, and what's the size of what's your operation? So we should have different systems. But what I know is there are certain systems for certain size.
Have you done business with different cultures? Like, are there different countries that you like to do business with more than others?
Uh, Well, yes, I've done businesses. I got business in Malaysia, with Switzerland, in Panama, in Philippines, in some countries, China also, Taiwan. And I feel like you just let them be. There are certain characteristics of person. Like European people, they're really thorough, but they like to be trusted, and you just let them be. But you kind of know they're educated too, so you let them be how they do it stuff. And Asian people are more collaborative, and they always seek help. They always seek advices, because I think they're in the past where they still don't know how to do it, and they don't have the example, or they don't have people who ask how they do it. So it's
It's
a
interesting.
collaborative way. Yeah.
That's
So
interesting
it's
because
like that.
Asian culture has been around like the longest too, right? And do you think some of Americans' problems are because we're not collaborative enough?
Well, there are certain things that collaboration will fix, but then again, everything has its strength and weakness. With collaboration too, sometimes if you meet the right partner, it's good. But if the partner is not as equal as you will just be hampered by their, let's just say, lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. It's better just to go by yourself if the deviation is far.
Just from the outside looking in, how do you feel about um, just perception of America in general? Like, is there anything that you see standing out, or
Since this is about a semi political question, and I
it
think this is
is?
just my opinion. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
just my opinion. I think USA has been doing right of welcoming talents and inviting good people in their country. I think this is how USA was built. And if they just continue welcoming people and welcoming talent, I think it's a good record, or a good track record of how they progress. Once USA changed this and strict and become strict on welcoming talent, then the talent will go elsewhere. Then, of course, instead the growth will be coming here, it will become if we grow going from other places. So I think if they just stick to their roots, which is they just welcome people, especially good people, especially talented people, they'll be all right.
Earlier, we kind of spoke a little bit about like a universal truth. So I'm curious if you're spiritual, or if you have practiced any specific religion, or just really
Well,
spirituality.
I believe in the creator. I believe that there's a force that's really maintaining our system. It's like somebody had got to make that the gravity is like this. Somebody got to create the universe, like a computer that's working perfectly, but somebody created the computer, right? So somebody got to create the universe outside our universe. So I believe that uh, we still have to do good, and we still have to, what you reap is what you sow.
Interesting. So that's like the "what you put out is what you get" kind of quote.
Yeah. Yes.
I like it. Uh, could you share a recent example of a project that reflects your commitment to social betterment, societal betterment?
In my life, I always help people on my own way when I can, but I feel like I want to do a bigger impact now. So I'm trying to create a foundation, or I created a foundation of education. So it's called BrenSEED Foundation. Hopefully, I get it up and running to speed, so I could be officially, uh, as a corporation, or as a as
Nonprofit.
a non-profit corporation, to help people in sending them to school, and hopefully uplift their livelihood by giving them knowledge and opportunity.
See, I kind of do something along those lines, but I'm curious, like what's the biggest problem or hardest part you're working on?
Well, problems can be solved, and biggest problems, I cannot say that there are biggest problem,
Just time.
but just it's just like some things takes time, and some problem you see can be broken into compartmental, smaller parts, and then you deal with it. So that's how I see it. I don't see anything like a big problem. We can say we have a big project, and we can say we have a global project probably, or something that we gotta do big, but still you have to turn it into small parts. And it's like in everything, there's step 1 to step 10. And just step 1 first, step 2, step 3. You can go step 1, then 10, then 30. It doesn't work that way.
I guess the better word should have been challenges. Like, like what are the biggest challenges instead of problems? Because I'm sure you don't see them as a
Or
problem.
challenges is always trying to better yourself, trying to understand how you can help others too. Because if I figure myself out, that's good. And if I'm running my ship well, is okay. But also, I have to learn to teach other people how to run their life too if they ask. If you have family members, if you have cousins, uncle, auntie, and they have their problems too, and they seek advice, you still want to be able to give an impact and solve their problems too. If you have a friend who asks you, "This is my business problem. How can I help?" As a human being too, that's you're well read and you have more connections. You want to help too. I mean, I think the basic reason of a person living in this world is to make other people suffer less. So if you can help them, you teach them, then that's challenge. And there are so much wisdom or so much things we should know in the world. I'm very sure that no person knows it all.
Wow. Yeah, I like that. Coming from a prestigious family background, how did this influence your journey into like the international gaming industry? And what drew you specifically into esports?
Well, we are all gamers in life. For some part, when we're kids, we play Mario Brothers,
You're like
Street
we're in it.
Fighter,
You're like we're in
yeah,
a simulation right now.
yeah, we will be playing because that's the source of entertainment. Then it evolves into a community gaming. And then eventually, when it turns into community gaming, you say like, "Hey, it has community now," and everything's backed by community. Even marketplaces, governments, there are communities. So even sports have community. So when esports they have a community, I thought of starting and be influencing in that realm for the kids, because that's where you can start a community but not profit from it, because there's no profit from kids, but
Mhm.
there's still like potential for kids in if you're building community. And because I was blessed, I jump into it and start a community in esports.
That makes me think about music, right? Because like artists aren't going to sell to a kid, but you can still form a relationship at an early age. So is that kind of the idea of you may not be able to monetize on someone that young, but you're trying to form the relationship early? Is that the idea?
Yes, actually, if you think about it, because monetization comes when you make something of value. And when you make something of value, you have to make something of value first. Then, of course, community is a great way to start a community. Then, money is always a byproduct of what you do and what you do of value. So if you think of money, it's really gonna be hard. But if you think of creating value, the money will come for sure.
See, here's the problem is a lot of people think that doing things for free or making value for free for others doesn't lead to anything. Like there's a lot of this concept of I need to be compensated for my work, and you should, right? But I'm always trying to encourage people that you should look for the other opportunities by providing where you see value. Like
But
there's
but have they tried? Because me, I know people who help and not asking for money, and pretty sure along the way they learn something. When you do something for free, it doesn't mean that you have to get money out of it. You may get friendship out of it, you may get experience out of it, you might get knowledge out of it,
yeah.
or you might get also a lesson learned for out of it, a mistake, and then you still become better as a human being, as a person. So not everything is money based, but
So
then again, eventually money will come.
so maybe we need to like reevaluate what we consider monetary, right? Like what payment is in a sense.
Yes. Also sometimes,
Expectations.
yeah, also sometimes you can say, I'm giving you a free service, but I'm getting a free service in return. And those have monetary value, but it was doesn't just money. So, for example, you're an artist, or you make content, and then you make content for a dentist, and then the dentist cleans your teeth, for example. I mean, you didn't get money from there, but you got at least free dental care for at least. I mean,
Yeah.
just an example.
An exchange of services is what you're saying, right?
Just an example.
That's a good point, though. Is like people are always trying to trade with currency that they have physically, their own type of money, but you're like, what can your skills trade you? So I like that. It's a good concept.
Yeah.
As an angel investor, how do you select causes and projects to invest in, particularly those that aim to create a better future and fuel entrepreneur success?
I normally invest in people. So I feel like I'm playing uh, a game in life. For example, Diablo, and there's the fog of war, or fog of war in map, where if you go, there's an NPC, and in the game you don't know what the NPC will take you, or the conversation will take you, but you still do it, you explore it. That's just life. So I feel like life is similar to a game, which I just go out, I enjoy, I do talk, I like to meet people, I mingle. I don't know what it'll bring. I'm not expecting anything, but I still go out if I have time.
In terms of like esports and what it's achieved, success under your leadership, like the 3 consecutive gold medals, Southeast Asia Games, which is pretty impressive, by the way. What do you attribute to this consistent high performance? How did you do it?
It's always a team. When you say high performance, you normally have a team. And I have a very good team. I was blessed. And I have a very good partners also. So that is also something that you have to have. And then a blessing and a luck must pull through too. Because you could be industrious, hardworking. But to be champion is, I think there's always a luck there or a blessing there. And I think we're blessed. And thank you for it. But again, even great individuals, Michael Jordan seems like an individual, Kobe Bryant, like individual performance, but they have a good training team. They probably good health team, or food, the one that they says what they need to eat and something. It's always a team.
I'm trying to think in terms of like someone bringing you investments. What are common mistakes that people make when they're trying to pitch to you? Like what stands out and what do you look for?
I always look to the person who's leading the project, because the person who leads the project has a lot to do with the future. If he's resilient, if he's committed, that has lots to do with the future. Also, if he's communicating and trustworthy too.
Or she, because you said he. So
Yeah,
he or she.
Yeah, but if the person, yeah.
We're in a
If the
different era now.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just playing. Can you share any insights into your role with Synergy 88 Studios and how it's pioneering the field in digital art and gaming?
Yeah. So again, I was blessed. I was able to make animation studio, and we were making arts for Microsoft. I think in USA, the labor of art making is a little bit more costly. So we set up a studio in Manila, and we make animation for Microsoft, and it's good business. So that's how it started. And then I made my own animation film called Barangay 143. So it's like a slam dunk theme. It's a basketball theme.
Wow.
Where the lead character is Bren, which is under my name too, but part yeah, it was a collaboration of a Japanese firm, Korean firm, and a Philippine company, which is our Synergy 88. And it was good. It launched.
You looked a little excited talking about that one.
Well, I did a lot of stuff, so that one was fun, because creating something of a character and making it like really is also a good experience.
And digital, like that whole world of animation, super expensive. Do you think it's going to get a little more affordable with AI and technology?
Yes, definitely. I feel like eventually AI would solve a lot of costs in terms of animation. And it's just how it is. Life is always progressing with improvements and technologies.
So perhaps quality and speed's going to get sped up, but we're not anticipating people getting put out of jobs the way everyone's fear mongering. You feel? Might change the job a little bit.
Like I believe everything comes in progression. So everything will have to go through one, then two, then three, until 10, right? So AI, if your mind is like aware and alive and you're thinking, you won't be blindsided. At least, I mean, everything's happening fast, and people who don't look at it will be blindsided that suddenly their job will replaced, right? But again, nowadays, if you're really aware and you really think of the future and you're really looking at your roadmap, you kind of know if you need to pivot or not because of this improvement and changes.
My only actual fear is that people are passively just going to let AI pass us and, maybe not adopt it. And then corporations taking advantage of just not caring. What
Well,
happens?
there are many kinds of people. I'm sure there will people who doesn't understand and will let them pass, but there would be people also who take advantage of it. Normally, kids. The way I see it, the hungrier or the more passionate or the more wanting a person want to improve their life, then they will be using all kinds of things, tools, materials, friends they can get their hands into to improve their life. And those person who's just lax and think that it's done, they graduated, they're champion already, or they're successful already, then they will get what they get. Like I said, you reap what you sow.
And one of the big things I've always said is imagine if you put this in the hands of third world countries, though. Like if you did have this kind of technology in freely in third world countries, do you think people would be able to really make life extremely cheaper, more abundant, more feasible? Like, could they be building from the dirt underneath their hands if they just had the instructions?
Yes, but again, there's still a resource need for it. And of course, if it's a government resource, then they can improve their government, which is lucky. But that's just how life is. Like I said, history is always a cycle where if you're advanced and you're low, your next cycle would be to improve yourself and to be advanced. And when you're advanced, you're getting lax. Eventually, you're getting lax or you're getting far behind. Somebody else is taking over. That's just the life cycle. Maybe not a 10-year cycle, not a 100-year cycle, but maybe a 500-year cycle. But again, it's still, that's just how life is. It's always a cycle.
When it comes to just gaming, AI, and investments, what countries are you particularly excited about?
There are different ways because in general, AI gaming will boom. But
Mhm.
I feel more like in USA, the gaming are like in console and in TV because there's so much land here. And of course, TV, there's so much TV there also, and it's a first world country. In third world countries or Asia, particularly poorer countries, they play in their phone. So they would be like a diversion of a game, an esports that's on the console base, and there's a game also with a community on a cell phone base, and they'll be competing. But because our population is increasing and our health life is being prolonged, there would be niches now. Eventually, you have a market share of probably World of Warcraft, Dota. There will be a mobile game of Clash Royale and there would be niches, but they'll be thriving. So that would be our future. There will be
Is
so much niches. Yeah.
is there anything specifically that you're seeking to invest, or do you just let things kind of find you?
I let things find me. I doubt that people really know what the future holds. I mean, they know it's going to be better, but they still nobody knows what tomorrow will bring. We all hope that it will be bring better, and we prepare for the worst. So even if you plan it like from this to that, in real life doing it, there would be still changes. There would be still pivots along the way. That's just how life is. And I guess with investment, I just let people come to see me, and I see if I could do the journey with them. I do the journey with them.
I know you're also involved in real estate, and it's like a real cliche thing that most Americans say, like, put all your money into that, invest into that. Is that still the most lucrative? Do you feel like that is the market?
Uh, all right. Everything comes with market creativity and saturation. So My investment in real estate is not here. It's in Panama country. And because it's a small place, so only few of us are making real estate there. So that's all right. Then again, it's not about being lucrative or not lucrative. It's about if you can learn something from it, if you will meet someone out of what you're doing, if you can improve yourself out of what you're doing, you should think of it like what you're growing and becoming rather than the money. So I really feels like everybody's here is like, what's the money? What's the money for it? Right. And I understand that because everything's costly, water, you know, clothes, everything. But we have to understand that it's still the value and the person we're becoming because we're learning and we're communicating and we're networking. Then what we are making of value to the marketplace, then the money will come.
Is there a person or like anyone that you've met that maybe does focus on money like that, or you've seen how they live and you're like, wow, I'm glad I don't do that? Like, have you seen that destroy people, or maybe that controls their lives
Well,
in a way that you weren't proud of?
not really destroy people, but I see people not progressing because they're like that. Yes, I've seen a lot of people like that,
So
but
maybe personal growth, they stay the same person, but they're not personally growing, right? Just
yeah,
because they're focused on money in a sense.
yes, because sometimes you have to give first before you're able to receive. And if you're thinking, what's in it for me, and then probably
You
you're
know,
dealing with people.
I don't think you understand, but like most guests I've interviewed, that's not a common thought pattern, right? So I think it might have to do with not being American, perhaps. Like that, I wish that was more of a common trait.
Well, I did thought of that because actually the first time I went here, I was looking for someone like me also in terms of character because I need help. I'm new here.
Good luck.
And yeah, and I can't seem it. I go to places, I ask people and I check. I can't I refuse to believe that I'm the only person like this way
Yeah,
of thinking. But I think it comes with experience too, because I came from other country. My system is different. This system is different. I remember telling my dad, Dad, you see me before, maybe after 10 years or 15 years in USA, I'll adapt to the US system. I just joke on him like that.
mhm.
I don't even know if it's a bad thing or a good thing. But you are on what your environment is. And maybe you're right. I was in an environment not USA, and now I'm in environment of USA. So maybe I'm aware that I'm a little bit different on how I think.
I feel like not only do you have more anxiety, but there's like more pressure. You make bad decisions. You know what I mean? Like there's so much more stress for no reason when you're not being true to yourself.
Yeah.
It's a good way to put it. Um, Education and charitable work. Any significant part of your endeavors, like how do you plan to leverage these areas to support entrepreneurs and technological innovation?
Well, I try to support in my own capacity, though right now I'm I'm still growing and I have my own struggle and challenges. But that is always the plan because somewhere I know how to solve my problem and I know it just takes time. I just need 5 6 years. I have a good roadmap. We're doing this. So eventually I will be able to focus more on the charity work and to help. But for now, I'm balancing also to be stable here and to fix what I'm doing here.
It's super ironic too because all of the similarities are people saying patience, right? But people who don't have much or they're starting from the beginning, it's super hard to relate to that. So what kind of advice do you give to somebody like, yo,
Well,
takes time starting anything,
they,
right?
they don't have choice actually. You
Yeah.
may think that what can you say about patience and everything. All I can say is you have no choice. It takes time to build stuff. It takes time to learn. It takes time to mingle. It takes time to do something big, great. So my my say to it is like patience is a lesson has to be learned whether you like it or not. And the sooner you accept it, the better. Because as whenever you don't accept it, you will always go back to grade one, back to level one, back to zero. And you'll start to do again one, two, three, four until you reach 10. If you don't have patience, always start at one.
I'm gonna hit you with a little philosophy here because
All right.
you said we have no choice. So
Yes.
free will or not determinism? What do you think?
Well,
Is it
we
all
have free
destiny?
will. No, we have free will. All right. But there's still things like are certain. For example, gravity. Okay. When you jump, you always pulled by the gravity towards the center of the earth. So patience is like that too. So it's not about being free will. It's part of life that everything takes time.
Interesting, because you said it's patience is like gravity, and I guess it's a force, right? It forces you literally to do something. You have to be patient. That's
Yes.
funny. It's a funny way to put it. Um, how did your family business heritage shape your approach to new ventures and industries like real estate, food, beverage?
Well, our family business story is not actually all good news. I mean, like any businesses, we started small, we became big, and we expanded. And because we don't know, the managing team blew the budget and the production, and then we failed. And then
Wow.
from there, we have to survive through royalties. So we let other people produce our shoe, put our brand, and we make money out of royalties only. And then from there, we recruit,
Damn.
and then we start new again, right way. Okay.
Did they know that? Did they put you in that position, do you think?
Uh, nobody wants to fail, but when you fail and you have to move forward, you got to think how to survive, and that's how.
But the company that did the deal with you guys, like, do you think they knew what they were doing?
Well, the company, the buyer,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
deals with
yeah,
us,
yeah.
well, they're expecting us to be professional and know how, but again, who knows? I mean, sometimes you feel like you're dealing with us. We want to present ourselves as best, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are challenges also how to make certain number of pairs on a certain short of time, and there's like,
Ah,
I think that time the economy changed, the dollar exchange rate changed, and we were buying supplies outside country. So there are some forces, economic forces, that's not in your control and would really
damn.
affect you. It's the same thing like when COVID hit. I mean, nobody knew it, but the world got to stop because safety has to, you know. And sometimes war happens. Sometimes the prices of oil change, the transportation change. So running a business is hard. Then again, the story is we were inexperienced, so we had a hard time, but we still got to be together as a nucleus family, and then we have to survive. We have to make decisions, and we have to stick by the decision. I guess a lot of things in life, partner, family, partnership, business partnership, sometimes challenges happen. If you could only stick to your guns and say, we're going to do this, even though the hard way, we're going to do it together. And when you see the end of it, it's a good feeling. I have projects also with many friends who's business associate. And when you've done something good and it becomes hard and you stick together, and then you're becoming great again, you're becoming big again, it's a very good feeling because you know that person stick with you through hard times.
I like it. You basically said resilience, right? Like, don't give up in a longer way.
Yeah, but saying it like that and actually telling you the story and the experience of being having hard time together, and then suddenly now you're going to be great again together is
It's
a
the
different
bonding too, right? The
yeah,
bonding,
the
yeah,
bonding too. It's the
yeah.
journey.
The teamwork. Yeah, see, that's another thing coming back. Like, we're missing that a lot, I feel, in America. But as a father, business mogul, what legacy do you hope to impart to the next generation?
I just hope to impart that all the people I work with, all the lessons I learned, I can put it to a content, or I could share it to the kids, to the children, and all the associates. I could introduce them so that when they're opening doors or doing businesses themselves, they have access to those, network. Just that. I'm a simple guy.
What's the most rewarding and challenging aspects of the journey with Bren Esports?
With Bren Esports becoming two-time world champion, and now it's AP Bren. I have a
Mm-hmm.
partner now. Uh, Becoming the world champion is a great blessing from the Almighty, and I think this one is like forever written in the history. In, so it cannot be taken away. and we give our country, Philippines, a recognition that we became world champ, at least in a global stage competition.
That's pretty cool. And I feel like the Philippines does take mobile gaming probably more serious than any other country, right? Like they're the
Yeah,
biggest.
in a way they're always winning, but yeah, Indonesia's also there. I mean, there's a lot of countries. It's an industry. It's just so happened we won twice, but there are countries that are winning the world championship too.
What about translating your passion in education? Because we talked about BrenSEED, but I'm also trying to understand the car accident from 2007. So can we go into a little detail on how that maybe shaped
Oh,
your,
that wasn't an accident. That was an almost accident, but it was
got you.
a life awakening for me because I was doing well with work and I was driving a sports car and I was trying to hit 300 kilometers per hour because in Philippines it's kilometers, now it's miles,
How fast is
and
that?
it's probably 100 or 200 miles, something
Oh
like that.
man, wild.
But uh, I was young and I almost died because I was speeding up in a slippery road. But I was younger. I was like full of energy, full of like I'm brave and courageous, and I like risk, even risking my life in a car.
Mhm.
I couldn't see myself doing that again. Right now, when I drive, when it's just a little bit feeling like I can't control it, or it's kind of like something might happen and I would regret it, I just be calm and I take my time. So maybe it comes with the territory of being young and now I'm being mature. So I'm more like laid back now. Yeah, that
Now,
experience taught me to not do it again.
since we're talking about risk, though, how do you handle risk, like in different sectors, risk aversion, your portfolio, high stakes, things like that?
Well, as much as I would like to tell you about risk aversion, it's when you see when you put something a project and it's like a 5-year thing, 7-year thing, nobody really can say that it was a risk free. They're like probably in a misconception that they just thought it was a risk free, but nothing's risk free. The risky is not doing anything, but doing something you're learning, and then you're adaptive. You're able to adapt if you need to change, and that's how you grow. So I'm not really about risk free, and risk is always part of it, but I think the risk is when you're being blindsided, when you don't know and it happened. Those are the problems. But if you're aware that this might cause trouble, then you can figure it out before it happens. You can talk to them before it happens. You can collaborate with them before it happens. And so the word risk free is normally misconceptualized like this is a risk free problem, go jump into it. There's no such thing. Especially when you say maybe risk free for the first 3 months, risk free for the first 1 year. But when you say this is a 7-year plan, lifetime plan, which is a big business, there's no such thing as risk free.
Yeah, you're basically saying you got to try things, right? You can't just hope all the time like it'll be perfect. Last question is, what does it mean to you to be more than rich? And then anything you want to promote?
Well, the rich has different meaning, and more than rich, I don't know what that means. But I'm blessed, and I'm blessed with resource. But I keep putting my resource to work, and I think being comfortable and not being content also, in a way that being content and not doing anything, not learning anymore, not growing anymore is wrong. So if you're rich and you're not growing and learning, I think that's a way to the end or to your death or to your uh, finish life. But again, a person can be still living life, not in business, but traveling,
Hmm.
experiencing, talking to people, taking care of their own health or family, children, teaching the kids. Those are different goals too. But what I mean is, every person should be growing. Every person should have a next thing they're looking forward to in their life.
Awesome. Anything you want to promote, like your website, how to find you?
Yeah, I have an Instagram and Facebook. And you can follow me. I am Bren Chong at Instagram, and we have a BrenSEED Foundation too. So you can check that too. And anything you need, you can hit Crystal. Uh, just help the audience with the link.
Of course.
Yo.
Yeah, I'll drop all that in the description for sure. I appreciate your
Okay.
time. I know you're busy. Hopefully we'll
Thank
catch
you,
up
Joe.
again sometime soon. And Crystal,
Yeah.
thank you for arranging all this. So I appreciate you. I'll update you when it's out.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Take
Thanks.
care.